Good morning, good life. In this episode, we're getting into the details about personal branding planning paralysis. What's going on with that? Why do we keep ourselves from going after the life we want and making a name for ourselves? I'm also going to share why my morning routine changed and some updates about my health and even more of your questions for this Q&A episode. It's time for some detailed therapy so that you can uncover your path to going after the life you want.
She's an award-winning YouTuber and best-selling author obsessed with helping you go after the life you want.
I like it.
Join her as she seeks out the stories and strategies
Give me every little detail.
of extraordinary people who found success.
I'm going to get emotional. Oh my God.
Welcome to Detail Therapy with Amy Landino.
I just love being able to show up and chat with you as if you're sitting with me. We got some great questions today. I went over to Instagram, I went to my text community, and I just wanted to find out what's on your mind. What can I help you with since our season is coming to a close very, very soon? If you're not already following at Details Podcast over on Instagram or my text, you can text me podcast to 614-963-2839 and share your questions with me because I think we're going to do this a lot more next season. But I like to know what's on your mind so that I can help you out. But if you're new to the show, hello, my name is Amy Landino. I will be your host. I'm a success coach and founder at Gatlu House, a resource dedicated to helping you go after the life you want. You can see all of our work, including the show notes for this podcast, by visiting detailtherapy.online. All right, let's dive into our first questions. I think we need to just start with, it's been so wonderful to see how many messages came because of my recent talks about changing my morning routine and doing it for the sake of my health. So a lot of, hey, is it serious? Are you okay? And it's just so amazing to just get, somebody sending a question just saying, how are you? We don't ask our friends and family and people this enough and really mean it and not want like the quick, oh, I'm fine, in response. So I just want you to know how much I'm appreciative of that question. And I will say that I am just fine. I am just fine. I honestly, I've always prided myself as somebody that's never broken a bone, never had any really serious medical issues. And I'm just getting older. That's all. And I'm finding out more things about my body as that happens. And I want to continue to optimize for that. If I was sitting here as Amy Landino preaching about going after the life that you want and not really doing the inner work myself as I continue in my own life, I don't think that would be fair to anybody. Certainly not fair to me. So I'm going to do whatever I can to just learn more about what's going on with myself and how I can be better. If, we get to a point where I'm going to expand on this, I'll let you know. But for now, the answer to a lot of your questions is everything's kosher. We're good. I'm just trying to make it better than better. You know what I mean? So thank you for that. Creator 723 said, is it serious as you changed the morning routine? And so just in connection to that, I do want to clarify something. It's really the main change of my morning routine is actually not what I do when I wake up. It's just when I wake up. And the reason for that is that no matter what time I go to bed, and I do really get in bed early, I still want to have those chill out, calm down activities that help my mind, shut down. I keep my phone in the other room. I'm not staying up later. I'm reading a book, things like that. It doesn't matter what time I fall asleep. I have to make sure I get the right amount of sleep for my body. And so for this period of time, it's been about 2.5 months now, just not sleeping without an alarm so that I always get whatever my body needs, no matter if I woke up and had to go to the bathroom 3 times in the middle of the night, which happens and drives me crazy, and or if I sleep all the way through. Making sure that my body continues to get as much sleep until I absolutely have to get up. And so it's not serious. It's just that is one huge component, sleep, that factors into absolutely everything. How you feel, how you lose weight, how you maintain a good weight, how you just are letting the rest of your organs operate, how you show up to do what you do every day. It's connected to everything. And we all want to jump on the workouts and the fad diets and the vitamins we saw in a commercial, but we're not really fixing the heart of the issues that we really have a lot of control over, to the extent that that is possible, right? And so I'm just taking advantage of the extent that I have the ability to sleep right now. It's my healing period thing. That is the one main thing, is I'm not using an alarm unless I have to. Sometimes I have a board meeting in the morning. It doesn't happen very often because the way I've equipped my day-to-day, my mornings really are sacred to me. And so I'm able to work with that later wake up time. It's just that I used to use that sacred time in a lot of other ways. So it takes a little bit of adjusting. X-Bad-Wolf1 said, from one Amy to another, how did you realize you needed to change your morning routine? Well, honestly, a doctor just straight up told me because that was like the biggest thing. It had to do with, if I'm only getting 7 hours, let's say 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep, and my body needs 9 to 9.5, then compounding over time, that's a lot of sleep that I'm not getting. So that is literally the whole reason why I knew I had to change it. I had to change my evening routine. I had to change my morning routine because now I'm trying to optimize for that loss of time that I really felt I was using wisely for a long time. And I did, to the greatest of my ability, but now it's taking away from my health. I wanted to wake up and I wanted to do a lot of things before the world woke up. And guess what? Sorry, not sorry. It's still so effective if you can do that, because it's the easiest way to not have a confrontational conversation with those people around you about, hey, leave me alone. I'm working. You see what I'm saying? So it was just so easy. I couldn't do content creation like this. I'm not going to wake my husband up because I'm doing a podcast. I'm recording this in the mid-afternoon, but early in the morning when I'm planning things and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to reverse engineer my goals and when I'm going to shoot and what I'm going to shoot and all these kinds of things, that was really a great time for me to do that. So I've had to adjust that. That's been the biggest thing. NFES from Instagram said, do you plan out your week? If so, how? On a whiteboard, in a diary, a phone, etc. So I use the Good Morning Good Life Planner that helps me with everything to just get a feel for how I'm going to approach every single day. My Google Calendar has a major component in my life and how I approach everything I got to do. I have to look at my calendar at the end of every week for the following week and be able to say, hey, okay, well, here's what's got to go on next week. Here are some objectives I also need to achieve. Here are the videos I have to get done and the things I have to publish and things like that. And so by looking at, what does next week entail already based on deadlines and appointments, then I start to work on the actual hard work I have to do in order to get those things done. I start scheduling that as well. I'm still a huge fan of calendar blocking. Calendar blocking is super important to me because I need to be able to take a task and make it real by putting it on the calendar, especially now that I'm working with a slightly different schedule in the way that I get my work done. I have to be able to book it out properly. So yes, absolutely. I definitely plan out my week. So it has a lot to do with my planner and definitely spending a lot of time in my Google Calendar because my assistants also have access to that and they need to be able to tell me what to do. I also asked for questions over on my text messages. If you didn't know, I have a text message community. If you text the phone number 614-963-2839, and again, that's an American phone number, +1 614-963-2839, and send the word podcast. So I know you want podcast updates and you want to send a podcast question. You can absolutely do that. Please feel free to. We're going to be ending this season here shortly, but I will definitely be doing a lot more of this next season. So keep that in mind. Also keeping my text community up to date on all the things going on Gatlu House. But this question was from Anila out of Oakland, California. She said, I want to start building my own personal brand, but I have planning paralysis. I don't know where to start, so I do research and get so overwhelmed that I just don't start. Also, I feel like my dream life is so far away from where I currently am that I feel like I'm never going to make it. What would you suggest? Well, I love this question because I totally understand. Our dream life always feels really far away when we don't have it yet, right? But have you ever achieved a goal and you've worked and worked and worked on achieving that goal? And then you finally get there and you, let's say, like graduating high school. You graduate high school. You did all the work to get there. You get your diploma. You walk through. You move your tassel over and you get there and you go, okay, I did it. I don't know that I feel different, but it's done. And that's the result, right? But all through high school, you're thinking, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to get to that podium and pick up that piece of paper and the fancy frame and move on with my life. Yeah, because we have to see that result to motivate us to move forward. So my advice would be, and something that I always do is, what is that dream life? Stay as close to it as possible. This is why I write my goals as if they've happened, right? I have launched my third book. I live in the house of my dreams. I have totally healed my body from stress. These are the things that I write on a regular basis, along with other goals that I have. I write them as if they are real, because what happens is then I kind of, you write it out and I kind of shut my eyes and I allow myself to try to feel how happy I would be if that were actually the case. And that way, that big dream really feels closer to me. I'm hoping that that's helpful to you, because the more that we act that way, the easier it is for us to not be in planning paralysis and say, okay, I know I'm building my personal brand for that dream life that I want. Here's what a perfect day would look like. Here is my why. Here's what would be amazing about it and why I want it. And it's not just something that I saw on social media that's cool. Like, I genuinely feel it in my gut. The more you connect to that dream life and allow yourself to actually sit in it, not be like, oh, someday I want to do that, but it's not, it seems pretty far-fetched. Allow yourself to feel the happiness that you would feel if you had that. Because if we can't appreciate what we have now, right? The high school example, right? Well, at least I did graduate. That's so cool that that's like done, right? If we can't appreciate what we have now, then we're not going to appreciate that dream life should it actually happen for you. Even if you do somehow come up with the adrenaline and ability to go after the life you want and get those things done, we still have to sit in those moments and be grateful for them. Just because you have done this, you go after the life you want, doesn't mean you're happy. Does anybody envision the life that they want and not think that they're happy when they get there? Of course not. We want that happiness, but that's completely within our control. That's something we can have today. That's something we can have even if somebody upsets us and we set it aside. And it's something we can have that day when we have that dream life. So get close to it. Feel grateful for it now, because that's going to drive you so much from within. And in regards to the research for your personal brand, it's very good to do research, but the exciting thing about a personal brand is that it's you. And so the more that you research yourself, the more you can be fully expressed and show the world who you are and the value that you have to offer. And so my question for you is, how will you show up for others? How will you be an instrument? How will you be a messenger? How will you be somebody who helps others? Because that's the most important research that you'll ever do about your personal brand. Yesterday, I was trying to get excited about making a video and I wasn't feeling it. So in the morning, I was like, okay, Amy, you got to get in the zone, dude. What are you going to do? And I decided to write a mantra of the day. And that mantra of the day for me was, Charlotte needs me. Charlotte is my avatar. Charlotte is the person that I think about when I sit down, I make this podcast, or I make a video, or I write a blog post, or I do something on Instagram, or whatever I do, because that's my personal brand and my mission. And when I talk about go after the life you want, there's a very specific community of people that I envision when I do that. I help many more people, but because I stay focused on who I best help, that is what's going to help me succeed. So Charlotte is that person for me, and I know her backwards and forwards in my head. I've gotten to know her over more than 10 years. So in the moment, I needed to remind myself that it's not about me. It's not about my feelings. It's not about my ego, because Charlotte needs me. So that's what I did to kind of get myself going. And my advice for anybody who's having this planning paralysis or trying to figure out their own personal brand, which by the way is like so egocentric, right? The ego has a purpose and that's okay. But remember that we want to use your ego for something bigger than that. So how do you introduce something bigger that gets you moving and out of that planning paralysis? I hope that's helpful. Sarah Meg Lulls asked, how do you relax during scheduled times if there is so much to get done? Here's the biggest thing that reminds me I have things to do is a mobile device or an iPad or a computer. So if I'm specifically supposed to relax during a set period of time, I try to also put an intention out of what I'm going to do during that time to keep myself as focused as possible. And if I can keep my phone from being a part of it, that's big. My husband and I are big on 20-minute walks. It's usually with the dog, but I'm going to be honest. This dog is a slow walker and she holds us back sometimes. She gets too excited to sniff. Khaleesi, I love you, but we really enjoy going on walks after she's gone to the bathroom and we put her back because we just walk and we get to talk. That's like our partner meeting, right? Because we're partners in life and business and we get to talk and we just get to talk for 20 minutes. And that's a relaxing moment. That's a moment where we're relieving stress. And if we can keep phones out of the equation, that's ideal. Last night, I actually was having such a fun time practicing Italian on Duolingo. I go back and forth on these foreign language apps, but I think Duolingo is definitely still my favorite. I made a video about this like years ago, and it just went gangbusters because I think people were just learning about it. It has been so helpful, and I was having so much fun. It was on my phone, okay? So it's like sometimes it's hard, right? I want to relax, but I also want to like do something kind of productive that's so not work related whatsoever. So if you can find ways to do that without a phone, it's great. But every once in a while, it may need to. And it's just about, don't let yourself look at the social media world or your email or anything else, because those things are usually what trigger comparison, which make us want to do things. And that's where the cortisol levels start to go up or down or whatever. So that's my advice. Get rid of your mobile device. I don't sleep with it when I go to bed. When I go to bed, I have a Kindle device. I don't read Kindle on my phone. I don't read Kindle on an iPad. I have a Kindle Oasis so that I read the book and that's it. It's better for my eyes. It helps me fall asleep better. And I don't get distracted and start searching for something when it comes to mind. So that's another example of relaxation. But I do think that it's these reminders from technology that there's always something more we can be doing. And that is exactly where, like you said, #stress is real. That's exactly where it's coming from. So my advice would be step away from any devices as much as possible. And that's probably going to relieve a great deal of stress when you're quote unquote trying to relax. BH Sprinkle 444 says, what was the most challenging part of your journey? It's interesting because I think every day I have a different challenge. And I don't know that there was one big thing that was challenging. But if I had to, like, not one big event, but I think that when there were moments that it was more challenging than others, it was either because I was completely misunderstood, I was afraid of being completely misunderstood, or I was afraid I might be in the future misunderstood. It usually comes down to just being concerned that my best, I guess my best effort isn't received the way that I hope it's received. But part of that issue is just being at peace with myself, being able to look at myself in the mirror and be proud of who I am and know that I walk the walk and that I don't just talk the talk. As a matter of fact, I think I would argue I probably don't talk the talk enough. I know that sounds weird, but there's so many people online who go on and on and on and on and on about every single thing that they do. And I'm obsessed with details, guys. You know this. That's why I named the show Detail Therapy and not the Amy Landino show. So it's funny. that I say that, but it's also like sometimes you just do things and you're doing. You forget how valuable that they might be as information for other people. I'm trying to get a lot better about that. It's one of the reasons why, and I asked you guys this before, I still need to check to see how you received this or if you wrote about it. But if you could go over to the Detail Therapy Instagram and let me know what you think. I really want the barrier to entry for me to put a podcast out to be much lower. I think we could talk to each other much more frequently, and I could just get on and jam with you about different things and what I'm thinking and things that I did today to be productive that might be useful for you. Just really quick sound bites so that you have that key motivation on a more regular basis. I want to be there for you. Like I said, Charlotte needs me. So that's why I was thinking, do we need to have the longer shows, or maybe we can chat a little bit more frequently, things like that. I would love your thoughts on that. But that's one of those examples, right? Sometimes a podcast needs to be 30, 35 minutes. A YouTube video needs to be 10 minutes or more. And sometimes the effort of going into creating something that's so long, the smaller details end up getting missed. And I hate that happens, but I'm starting to come to that realization. So yeah, I want to share more. And I think that there's a risk that I will be misunderstood if that's the case. But that's life. And by the way, that's probably the hardest part of being a personal brand. Let that be the actual answer to this question. The most challenging part of your journey is that you can't hide behind a logo. It's your name, it's your face, what you say, you need to stand by. When you change your mind, you need to stand by it. And that's okay. All those things are fine. But yeah, I think that's challenging. And the reason why people have such paralysis about personal branding and going out and making a name for themselves is that fear of being misunderstood, is that fear of having to not be vanilla, but to be very specific about who they are and what they're cheering for and who they serve. Those are a lot of decisions to make. And you've got to make them in order to be successful. So I think that's where a lot of this paralysis is coming from, I think, for some people. And maybe you feel that way as well as our previous question asker. Yeah, it's a lot. And I get that. Totally get that. Fun question. What has been your COVID comfort food? It's not a specific food, but my husband and I, Vincenzo and I, have been ordering so much from Cluster Truck. If you are fortunate to have a Cluster Truck in your area, then you are blessed, as we are blessed. We're big fans of them because it's basically like it's food delivery, but it's not a restaurant. Like it's a restaurant specifically for food delivery. So you can order from them and have it delivered to your house. You can't go there. You can't walk up to their window and take away. Like it's specifically for delivery. And they have so many different food options and so many different menus. We usually order from the Mexican menu the most, if I'm being honest. It's definitely been Mexican food from Cluster Truck. That's my answer to your question. All right, before we go, I want to make a big shout out to someone who went over to the Apple Podcast shop, left us a 5-star review for Detail Therapy. That's my friend A6893905. I feel you on the whole username thing on Apple. Isn't it so funny? It's totally not like the rest of the world. 5 stars. Love, love, love. I absolutely love this podcast. I found it on Pinterest when looking up positive podcasts, and this is spot on. I love the realistic ideas that are given every episode. I am currently a senior in college, and I relate very much to these situations. Now it's just time for me to put these ideas in action. Congratulations. I have never heard of being found on Pinterest before, so this is very exciting news to me. And in thanks for your review, and as a special little gift, hit us up, hello@detailspodcast.com. Prove that you are indeed A6893905, and we're going to ship you a Good Morning Good Life planner because I appreciate you so much, especially the crowd in college that's trying to figure out what it looks like to go after the life they want after this phase of their life. So exciting. If you would potentially like to win something special from yours truly, make sure you head over and leave your true and honest review. Love to see 5 stars over at the Apple little podcast app. Appreciate that. That's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. Remember, subscribe for good vibes, kiss the ones you love, and go after the life you want. I'll see you back here on Tuesday. Cheers.